You can cross oceans, change your name, or reinvent your life beneath the blush of dawn in a distant city. Yet still, if your body echoes the inherited vibrational codes of yesterday, you remain tethered to an ancient script. This is the soft riddle of human existence, the hush beneath the noise. So much of what we call freedom is an illusion, a shimmering mirage on the horizon of the nervous system. We believe freedom to be a matter of distance, or disguise, or outward accomplishment. But in truth, the soul's deepest liberation is silent, a frequency, not a destination. Imagine for a moment the unseen architecture within you. There, woven into the delicate matrix of bone and blood, are the secret signatures of those who came before, the furrowed brow of a grandfather, the gentle hope of a great-grandmother, the silent sorrows and unsung joys, all etched as invisible music into the body's tissues. Modern science, standing on the shoulders of mystics, now speaks of epigenetics, how the lived experiences of our ancestors become chemical messages inscribed on the strands of our DNA, echoing as harmonics through generations. The old Hermetic axiom, as above so below, as within so without, rings, newly true, its resonance felt at the atomic level in the sacred correspondence between lived story and living cell. Yet there is no condemnation here. To awaken to these inherited frequencies is not to wear them as chains, but to recognize them as invitations. What you carry in your jaw, your breath, the sway of your sacrum, is not a curse, but a portal, a living code awaiting the gentle touch of awareness. Your soul's temple is not a monument built from willpower, but a breathing humming field, a domain where presence, not striving, creates the conditions for change. Consider Hannah. She spent years in restless pursuit, relocating to distant lands, cycling through careers and relationships each time, hoping that the next beginning would erase the old feeling that she was never truly home. But every new sunrise found the same sensation thrumming at her core, a low vibration of unspoken fear and ancient longing. One morning, standing barefoot in the kitchen, she noticed the way her jaw clenched for no reason, her breath shallow and high in her chest, her hips bracing against invisible tides. It was a moment of living remembrance, a silent alarm that called her not to run, but to feel. This is the first portal presence, not the frantic presence of striving, but the quiet arrival into your own temple, your own architecture. Neuroscientists speak now of the body as the true memory keeper, its fascia and organs holding not just injury, but narrative, not just pain, but potential. The HeartMath Institute tells us the heart's field radiates information, informing every cell, every thought. Bessel van der Kolk reminds us that the body keeps the score, but perhaps just as truly, it keeps the song, a dormant symphony waiting for your ear. Pause, wherever you are, and sense what is the vibrational signature alive in you. Now, is it yours, or does it belong to a story much older? Breathe and become the gentle observer. Do not rush to change, but simply feel. This awareness is the first act of sovereignty, the first movement towards silent liberation. The old texts say the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. Let your listening become an invocation. In the stillness, you awaken ancient codes, and the journey begins not in flight, but in gentle arrival. What is your body whispering right now beneath the surface of thought? Can you sense the first silent portal opening within? Rest your awareness there as if planting a seed. The world beneath all appearance is vibration, a secret, humming a silent river of frequencies moving through matter and mind. This is the first principle of Hermetic wisdom, the law of vibration, echoed now. By the language of quantum physics, nothing rests. All moves, all vibrates. The ancients spoke in metaphors, poets and music scientists in equations, but the heart of the teaching remains. Your life is shaped not by what happens, but by the frequency with which you meet it. In this living universe, the body is both a vessel and a tuning fork. You are the observer, but also the observed, the consciousness whose attention collapses possibility into form, the one who tunes the invisible strings. Every thought, every breath, every sensation is a note, a ripple sent through the waters of being. The Kabbalion whispers, "He who understands the principle of vibration has grasped the scepter of power." But this scepter is not wielded by force. It is felt in the subtle willingness to listen to a tune, to become a conscious architect of your inner landscape. Imagine the body as a sacred temple, built of sound and light its walls, vibrating with the codes of ancestral memory and present intention. The sacrum is the temple's foundation, the jaw, its gate, the diaphragm, its open sky. Modern neuroscience tells us the nervous system is shaped not only by personal experience, but by ancestral imprint, a kind of harmonic inheritance. Epigenetic tags like musical notations linger on our DNA, guiding the way genes are expressed, how we respond to stress, how we feel the world. But vibration is not fate. The observer changes the observed. HeartMath research reveals that a shift in heart coherence, a simple return to loving presence, can alter the electromagnetic field of the body, bringing order to chaos, rhythm to discord. The ancient Hermetic law of correspondence. As within, so without becomes science, in the laboratory poetry, in your own lived experience. Change the frequency within, and the world without begins to rearrange. Hannah's journey deepened here, in the mysterious dance between science and soul. She began to notice the polarity of her inner world, moments of contraction, fear, or inherited sadness, and moments of unexpected grace, openness, and peace. She learned to sit with both, to recognize that each was simply a vibration, a weather pattern in the landscape of her being. Through gentle practice, she discovered that she could shift the internal climate, not by force, but by becoming exquisitely present to the movement itself. In this, she was both the alchemist and the element, both the observer and the observed. Now let us turn inward together. Bring your awareness to your breath, not to control, but to sense its rhythm. Notice the subtle dance between inhale and exhale, the polarity of expansion and release. Imagine your body as a portal of living codes, every cell tuned to a particular frequency. What if in this moment you could simply listen to the harmonic misalignments, not as flaws, but as invitations? What if every ache, every tension, every inherited sadness was simply a doorway to a new resonance? Gently invite the idea. My inner vibration is the architecture of my experience. Feel the weight of these words in your body. Is there a part of you that resists? Is there a part that opens? This is the alchemy, the subtle art of attuning to the frequency you wish to embody, not by rejecting the old, but by gently listening it into coherence. As the Hermetic texts remind us, all is mind. The universe is mental. Yet this mind is not cold intellect, but a living field, a heart, mind, a body mind, an architecture built of sensation, memory, and will. You are the architect, the temple, the music, the observer. And as you become more aware of your own frequency, you step quietly into your own sovereignty. Pause now. Let your awareness fall like soft rain through the layers of your being. What frequency is alive in your bones, your breath, your belly? Imagine that you are both the musician and the instrument. What music do you long to play? Beneath the visible choreography of daily life, 3 hidden movements wait silent guardians at the gates of your soul's temple. The ancients understood them as pillars. Modern science maps them as keys to embodied presence. The sacrum, the jaw, and the diaphragm together. They are the unseen architects of your vibrational reality, shaping the currents of energy, emotion, and consciousness. To awaken these portals is to remember the living code of your own sovereignty. Let us enter this temple through the story of Hannah, for hers is the archetype of so many who long to be free from inherited storms. After her awakening to the old signatures alive in her body, Hannah grew curious about the small silent patterns that kept her circling the same emotional landscapes. She found herself clenching her jaw without thought, bracing her hips for some invisible impact, and holding her breath above her heart. Each tension was both ancient and immediate, a harmonic misalignment passed down through generations and reinforced by the day's small stresses. One evening, guided by intuition and a gentle teacher, Hannah began a simple inquiry. She lay on the floor, knees bent, eyes closed, palms open to the ceiling. The room was quiet dusk, filtering in through a single window. First, she brought her awareness to her sacrum, the shield-shaped bone at the base of her spine. The sacrum, in Hermetic philosophy, is the seat of primal energy, the foundation of the soul's architecture. Modern neurocardiology confirms the pelvic basin is richly innervated its tensions and releases mirrored in the brain's emotional centers. With each exhale, Hannah invited her sacrum to soften, to let go of the old bracing. She imagined it as a heavy stone at the base of a river, settling into the current, opening a portal of silent grounding. A tingling warmth spread through her lower back, a gentle surrendering to gravity's embrace. She sensed, perhaps for the first time, the living inheritance stored there, not just pain, but ancestral longing for safety, for rootedness. She felt herself welcomed home. Next, her attention drifted upward to the hinge of her jaw, the gate. In Hermetic tradition, the jaw is the place where the unspoken and the spoken meet, where ancestral silence becomes possibility or pain. Modern somatic research reveals the jaw's connection to the vagus nerve, its clenching echoing through the heart, the gut, the entire nervous system. With delicate care, Hannah let her mouth fall open, slackening her jaw, allowing a tiny sigh to slip past her lips. The tension there was old generations of words, unspoken truths withheld. As she softened the hinge, she felt a wave of grief and then a quiet lightness. Her head floated, the gate opened, and something ancient moved on. The diaphragm, at last, the great bellows the sky inside the body. The Hermetic texts call it the bridge between worlds. Science names it the primary muscle of breath, its rhythm dictating the tempo of thought and feeling. When the diaphragm is locked, the soul's song grows thin. Life becomes survival. When it softens and expands, the inner winds return and the body remembers how to be both grounded and free. Hannah placed her hand gently beneath her sternum, feeling the rise and fall of her breath. She imagined the diaphragm as a living portal, drawing in not just oxygen, but presence. Each inhale invited a world inside. Each exhale, a silent letting go. Through these three pillars, sacrum, jaw, diaphragm, Hannah found a path to silent liberation. The movements were not dramatic, but deeply felt, a yielding, a gentle invitation, a vibrational attunement. In time, she noticed that old patterns loosened their grip, that she could meet the world with more ease, more sovereignty, less inherited fear. The architecture of her being, once shaped by silent codes, now began to hum with a new song. Now, let this become your practice, an act both scientific and mystical. Lie down or sit, letting your spine be long. Bring your attention first to your sacrum. Invite it to settle, to soften as if returning home. Then feel your jaw release the grip. Let your lips part. Allow sound or breath to escape. Finally, place your hand on your lower ribs. Breathe into your diaphragm, letting the breath move low and wide. Do not force, simply invite, and notice what shifts. These are portals, not tasks. Invitations, not demands. Ask yourself, what ancestral signature might be held in these places? What silent code is asking to be sung into new resonance? As you move, listen for the subtle music that is yours alone, the silent architecture of your soul's temple, remembered and reclaimed. Alchemy is the art of silent transmutation, of meeting what was not with violence or denial, but with the soft, persistent flame of presence. In this, the soul's journey becomes a process of turning old lead into living gold, inherited misalignment into harmonic sovereignty. The Hermetic law of polarity teaches that everything carries its opposite, that sorrow carries the seed of joy, contraction, the promise of expansion, silence the birth of song. The quantum mind, too, reminds us reality is not fixed, but woven of probability and observation, a living field shifting with each act of attention. In Hannah's story, this phase unfolded not as a thunderclap, but as a slow dawn. As she continued her practice, returning daily to the hidden pillars of sacrum jaw and diaphragm, she discovered the true meaning of living codes. She noticed how the architecture of her attention could change the very resonance of her experience. On some mornings, ancestral fear would rise, a tightness in her hips, a closing of the throat, a shiver at the edge of breath. Instead of recoiling or overriding, she paused. She became the silent observer, holding the sensation in the soft cradle of her presence. Here, neuroscience and mysticism converged. Bessel van der Kolk describes trauma as frozen residue of energy trapped not only in memory, but in the tissues waiting for movement and witness. Heart math shows that the heart's coherence, when cultivated, ripples through the entire electromagnetic field of the body, shifting neural pathways, altering perception, inviting harmony. Each time Hannah met her own body with curiosity and compassion, she activated this alchemical field. The frequencies of inherited pain did not vanish in an instant, but they began to vibrate with possibility, to rewrite themselves as she observed, felt, and gently moved. She found that the portal of her sacrum would sometimes quiver, revealing not just her own anxiety, but an ancestral longing for safety. Her jaw would tremble with the echo of unspoken stories, the ancient grief of mothers and daughters. Her diaphragm would flutter, then open, as if each breath was an act of permission, a recreation of reality, one gentle exhale at a time. In these moments, Hannah was not just healing herself. She was transmuting a line, writing new code for the generations to come. This is the living alchemy to which you too are invited. It is not about heroic struggle, nor the erasure of pain, but about creating the conditions for silent liberation. When you bring presence to the portals, sacrum, jaw, diaphragm, you become both the alchemist and the gold, both the ancient wound and its healing. You enter the quantum field of possibility, where every vibration is a message, every sensation a living code to be read, felt, and gently rewritten. Tonight, as you settle into your own temple, consider this gentle ritual. Lie or sit in a quiet place. Sense your sacrum. Does it feel heavy, tense, or numb? Imagine it as a stone in a sacred river, bathed in the current of your awareness. Let it be as it is, and feel for the first glimmer of warmth or softening. Next, sense your jaw. Let it hang open like the gate of a sunlit garden. If there is trembling or emotion, let it move through. Finally, find your diaphragm with your breath, tracing the subtle rise and fall beneath your ribs. Invite the breath to open like dawn light through a window. Notice what shifts, not with judgment, but with the soft curiosity of an alchemist in the silent laboratory of the soul. If there is trembling tightness or tears, let them be. Each sensation is a vibrational code, a message from your body's ancient archives. The more you witness, the more the living architecture of your being is rewritten, not by force, but by the living intelligence of presence. Ask yourself now, in this moment, what is being transmuted? What is the new code arising from the old? As you listen, sense that you are both ancient and new, both the inheritance and the alchemist, both the code and the scribe. Rest in this paradox and let your presence do the silent work of liberation. To claim vibrational sovereignty is not to stand apart from the world, but to stand fully within it, rooted awake, attuned to the living field. The Hermetic law of mentalism whispers that all is mind, that reality unfolds from consciousness itself. Quantum science reveals that the act of observation shapes what is real, collapsing possibility into form. In your own body, you become the observer and the creator, the silent source from which new codes are sung into being. This sovereignty is not a crown you must earn, nor an armor against the world, but a frequency, a silent, steady resonance emanating from your presence. It is the felt knowledge that you are the temple, the architect, and the music, your every breath, an act of creation, your every sensation, a message from the living architecture within. The sacrum grounds you to the deep song of earth. The jaw opens the gate of expression. The diaphragm lifts you into the sky of possibility. Through these portals, you are free not because you have outrun the old codes, but because you have listened, transmuted, and chosen anew. Hannah, over many gentle seasons, found that her sense of self began to shift. She no longer chased the illusion of freedom in distant places or perfect plans. Instead, she recognized that her sovereignty was a frequency, a felt sense, a living pulse within. The old harmonics of fear and longing still arose at times, but now they were met with compassion, held and transformed in the open field of her presence. Relationships deepened, patterns softened. New possibilities, once unimaginable, arrived quietly, as if invited by a newly tuned signal. This is the secret of all true alchemy. As you liberate your own frequency, you become a tuning fork for the world around you. The Kabbalion teaches to change your mood or mental state, change your vibration. But this is no shallow affirmation. It is an act of deep presence, a willingness to be both the observer and the observed, to rewrite the ancestral script, not with willpower, but with resonance. Let this become your practice whenever you feel lost or contracted. Return to the three silent pillars. Settle your sacrum, soften your jaw, and breathe with your diaphragm. Feel for the subtle shift of living code rewritten with each act of awareness. This is your birthright, the silent liberation that no circumstance can bestow or remove. Ask yourself, with gentle sincerity, what frequency am I living in this moment? What portal is asking for my attention? How might my presence here and now become the very vibration of sovereignty? Let your breath be your answer, your body the living text. True independence is not separation, but union, a remembering of the soul's temple, a harmonizing of all that was, is, and could yet be. It is the power to observe, to choose to embody a new architecture of being one that ripples outward, touching every life you meet. Rest here in this presence and know you are both the source and the song, the portal and the key. Sovereignty is yours not as a conquest, but as a vibration reclaimed. So here, in the gentle hush of this journey, let us remember the greatest alchemy is not loud, but silent, a steady luminous shift within the hidden chambers of your being. You have crossed no seas, yet you have traveled far into the living codes, etched by ancestors through the sacred portals of sacrum jaw and diaphragm into the quantum field where your observation is both brush and canvas. You have witnessed the paradox of freedom, that it is not earned by outer flight, but claimed in the quiet frequency of your own presence. You are the silent architect of your soul's temple, the scribe of new codes, the living portal through which ancestral signatures become songs of sovereignty. As you return again and again to the subtle movements and resonances within you, awaken not just your own possibility, but offer a tuning fork to the world, a living invitation to remembrance and peace. If this journey has touched you, share this vibration with someone who needs it. Let your presence ripple outward. Comment below or subscribe to continue weaving this field of living alchemy. Remember, to return home to your body is to reclaim your reality. True sovereignty is an inner frequency quietly awake, always within reach.